The 2-minute message preview at the non-denominational New Hope Olympia is your decisions today will determine your destination. Starting in 1955, there was a game show on television called This Is Your Life. Celebrity subjects were ambushed during their ordinary daily routines and brought into the studio to have a spotlight shines on their past. It is safe to say that you and I will probably never be dragged into the spotlight on television to have our lives examined, but we would be wise to face the question, what is your life? James asked his readers, what is your life? To emphasize the brevity of life and the urgent need for the guidance and help of God if we are to make our lives meaningful and productive for God. Only one life 'twill soon be past, only what's done for Christ will last. This life you have is the only one you will ever have, so. 1. God help us to make it count for eternity. 2. God help us to live our life for the things that count, and 3. God help us to spend our time doing things that make a difference in God's kingdom. I read of an assistant pastor who visited an older man who had lived his whole life in sin and selfishness. He finally had come to the Lord in his 60s. When he was diagnosed with cancer, this pastor visited him at his home shortly before his death. The older man was in a reminiscent mood the day he was there. But the pastor said he didn't hear stories about the good old days. Like he had expected to. Instead, it was more like a confessional. The older man shared with his pastor his life before he came to the Lord. He had neglected his family for his job. How he had not been there for his children like he should have been. How he had not trained up his children in the Lord or even with any real character, and how he had missed out on opportunities to make his life count by doing good to others or serving God. Instead, he told the pastor that he had lived for sin, pleasure, and popularity, making money and accumulating material things. The pastor said he could recall that the man suddenly grew quiet during their conversation. Sensing some inner struggle, the pastor said that he, too, sat silently awaiting the man's following words, pondering the things he had shared with him, frankly not knowing quite what to say. After a few moments, he looked away from his pastor and saw him wipe a tear away as he said, I sure wish I could live my life over again. Well, that is probably true of many of us today, but we can't because our lives are single. You only have one life to live, and then it's over. In his weekend message, Pastor Dell shares how your decisions today will determine your destination. It's never too late to rewrite your legacy. 3 takeaways from the weekend message are: invite God into your today, involve God in your tomorrow, and invest in eternity. Remember, only one life 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. Make your life count for eternity.